We are John and Ellie, the Barefoot Doctors. Join us on this new chapter on our brand new Leopard 45 Catamaran as we unearth the jewels of the Med. And the world. Because life is better barefoot.
Having just spent a week enjoying the amazing scenes in Ponza, we have to leave and have a few final hours to enjoy Ponza before our departure to Formia, 35 miles down the coast.
Supping in the Med, supping in the Med. Beautiful day, and it's pretty hot, but it's crystal clear, and there's fish following me around everywhere. It's pretty cool. This is how you do it with a catamaran in the Med.
In the shade.
In the shade.
All of the underwing nice and shaded.
You got to think positively.
Yeah, the moment you think, oh, I'm gonna fall, guess what? You're right. What a magic place to sup, huh?
It is.
Do you want me to stop talking so you can concentrate?
Oh yeah, just deliberately trying to put me off, aren't you, hon?
Uh-huh. Oh, look, there's a topless girl over there. Any hot-blooded male would look around. Yeah, nice.
Turning and going backwards is harder than going forward.
It is. Well, may I say, you pick a really nice location to sup. It's pretty magic. Look at the colour of the water. I mean, the Bahamas has got beautiful coloured water. We go on about Bahamas water all the time, but it's pretty special in the Med as well. Oh, much better.
Okay, so we are in end of June and we bought the boat at the beginning of May, so 2 months. I'm just going to show you the algae on the boat, which is quite surprising. I'm not sure if that gives you a good impression, but I was having to work an awful lot harder, pressing very hard with the scrubber to get the long green algae off.
What'd you get?
I got amarena, a pesto with pistachio, oh, white chocolate.
Ooh, that's right. You got the white chocolate.
And now that we got spoons, I won't lick because Elizabeth doesn't allow me to lick ice cream.
It makes it melt more. Oh. What do people think? What do you think, guys? Does it make it melt more or not?
Ponza supermarket. This is it. Mind you, better stock than I expected, to be honest. Because you always pay a premium when you're on the islands. So that's life.
Well, it's 10:30 in the morning. We're preparing the boat for sail. We've got to sail about 30 miles over to the Italian mainland. And we're leaving this beautiful anchorage that we've just spent probably 5 days in total. The guys are just preparing everything. We've put away everything. As a general rule, we will put everything away on the bench. Make sure that nothing can fall off. We also make sure that all these clips are in, because otherwise the drawers and everything can fly out. And pretty much clear the decks so there's nothing that can slide off, hit the floor, get damaged. And looks like there's just a few of these little things that I have to put away in the fridge. So we've shut all the hatches and we'll open up all the windows so we get good view. We'll put our gloves on because you never know when you need it. So I better hurry and put the gloves on. Okay, so it's just one of those things that happen as we were bringing up the anchor and the bridle. The little pin that's in the bridle actually fell off because the bridle was twisted around the chain, and then the pin has now fallen off into the water. So David's going to jump in to see if he can find it. So our departure is delayed just a little bit. So the pin's fallen out of the bridle and the boys are down there looking for it. The pin would probably be, you know, that wide, that long. So it's kind of like a needle in a haystack, really. But I'm thinking it's got to be around that area a bit. Yeah, this is a pretty good reminder that there are no absolutes. The only absolutes are that there are no absolutes. So the guys are down there trying to find the pin on the bridle. And I'm just manning the helm because we've started to bring the anchor up and we've got a couple of boats around us. This guy over here is a bit wondering what the heck we're doing. And there's a boat at the back here. Got to keep an eye on. This guy here. So I hope I find it. So we're in about 7 meters of water, but it's quite sandy and silty, so I'm not sure how successful they're going to be. We live in hope. So it looks like the sea has claimed another victim. We haven't found the pin. We're not going to wait any longer. We'll just pick another one up or we'll use another shackle from somewhere. So anyway, that's boat life. So we say goodbye to Ponza.
Yep.
The beautiful Ponza that we've loved and loved.
We have.
We've hung around this area, explored lots of things and just loved it.
And really, if you are sailing south through Italy towards Greece, Ponza is a must-stop place.
Yes.
It is very nice.
If you do happen to come here, look out for our pin that we lost. And there's also another anchorage over here full of boats as well. And then another one just a little further on, and another one a little further on. So there's plenty of places to anchor here, and it's good holding. You see the Ponza beach village in the distance there. But we can feel the wind getting up, and I must admit it feels kind of like I'm in some sort of dramatic movie. Because you feel the wind start to pick up and you go, I feel the wind, it's time to move on. Very dramatic. Anyway, so we are. Off we go. Cruising past all the mega yachts that have been our neighbours for a few days. More mega yachts. And that looks like something a little bit more official. And we say goodbye to Ponza. Definitely we found another jewel in the Med.
So what we're doing here is raising the code 0 on the outside of the Genoa and pulling that sail in before we roll in the Genoa. That way we keep sailing at a reasonable pace, but there's also less wind filling the code 0 as it gets pulled out. So whoever's doing the watch for your boat, obviously looking out for boats and the sails and all that sort of stuff, but you've also got to look out for things in the water. So here we're passing some fishing pots. These are marked quite well with bright yellow flags and floats, and there's another 2 in front of us over there and over there. You don't want to run over these things because they'll tangle with your props or your rudder, potentially your keel. That just causes a mess of the pots, and in some countries the fishermen, if they found you damaging their gear, they'd be wanting you to pay them for it. So not only potential harm to your own boat, but obviously to their pots. And delay, you've got to swim under the boat, untangle them, cut them all free and all that sort of stuff. So that's a bit of a hassle you don't want to be dealing with. We're now heading back to the mainland of Italy, which you can just see in the haze in the distance there. 35 miles it is today, so it'll take us about 7 hours, I'd say, or at least 7 hours at 5 knots. But the wind is also due to get a bit stronger later in the day, so that'll push us on a bit faster.
Little darling, it seems a long, lonely winter. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun. And I'll say it's alright. Da 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 da. I don't know that bit yet.
Okay, so this morning we lost a shackle pin off the bridle, which obviously was done up. It clearly undid itself over time and it wasn't tied up with a wire, so it unraveled and we lost the pin, couldn't find it at the anchorage. So I'm temporarily going to use a bit of rope to replace that shackle because I don't have any shackles big enough at the moment. So what I'm going to do is get this rope, and I'll just put a few loops through the bridle onto the connection point on the front of the beam. And I just thought while I'm doing this I might show you a little trick. If you are having to cut rope, this is a really good way to do it. If I was just to get the blade and cut the rope without any support, the whole thing would become a big fluffy mess and it'd be really hard to get a nice close tight end. So the little trick that I would suggest is get a bit of tape, and it doesn't have to be duct tape. This is duct tape, but you can use electrical tape as well, and the whole purpose of this is purely to hold the rope together as you're cutting it and after you've cut it. Put the tape around the rope tight as you can, and then you should get a wooden board and cut it on a wooden board.
Phew, finally. It would be good to melt the end of this rope immediately too, but this is, as I say, in the anchor locker, so I'm going to leave it there, and I'm just going to melt the ends of this rope on both ends so it won't fray down the track. In order to seal the rope, I use the fire in the cooker, but because the tape is holding it nice and tight, we can just melt the end, hopefully. Careful not to drip the plastic onto the cooker, that will upset Elizabeth intensely. Always lick your fingers first before you mold the rope. And once it looks pretty good, take the tape off. There's a few little fluffy ends that we need to melt on so it doesn't fray with time. Lick your fingers, mold it together. Still a little bit loose. I can feel it, so I want to melt it more so that the 3 threads of the rope don't separate. If there's any mess on the sink or the cooker, clean it up before your wife gets back. Okay, so the bridle is normally attached with a shackle to there, but the rope won't fit through that hole. I don't have a big enough shackle spared to fit into that, so I have rigged up a rope. This is anchor rope anyway. Cut off that piece spare. I've tied it to here so it can't slip either way. I was going to put it around there, but these edges are a bit sharp and there's an electrical wire, and I really don't want the electrical wire to be worn out by the rope chafing and moving. So the beam will take the force quite easily because that's where the support is. We have just done a bowline on the A-frame wire so it can't move backwards and forwards. Around the beam, coming back, another bowline to this bowline. I have looped the bridle onto that rope. So it's all about making compromises and working out different ways of solving problems that you come across. So we are coming to the end of the trip. We are approaching Gator, which is here, and Gator is that spit of land with a castle. And then we're going around the corner to Formia, where there's a train station, and we can drop off Nat and David, who are leaving us in a couple of days. Behind us is a foiling ferry. These things go at huge speeds using foils to raise the hulls out the water, so they're very impressive. We are not going to be messing with them. Now we are inside the bay of Gator and Formia, making the seas a lot flatter and smoother sailing as we go towards Formia to anchor. What we're going to do when we drop the code zero this time, honey, is go down with the wind behind us, so the mainsail blankets the code zero, and then we'll furl in the code zero. So it'll take the pressure off the sail as we're furling it in, rather than heading up into the wind like you'd normally do or pulling the channel around. So that should be quicker and easier. Okay, that'll do it. Thank you. Here we have Ellie chasing after what appears to be a pumpkin in the water.
Well, it's not a pumpkin.
It's just a bit beaten up.
It was from the gods. They sent us something.
So then what do you think all these little marks are?
Props.
props.
Prop marks.
Bit small though.
Yeah, that looks like
That looks pretty good, doesn't it?
Does look pretty good.
smells.
We can.
Thank
say
you to the gods.
Smells pretty
A
good.
gift, I say.
Doesn't smell alcoholic or anything. Unfortunately.
Well, those
we'll have
ding-
to add our own.
I think those dings are fairly new because they're not brown. It smells
It
fresh.
smells delicious.
Would you eat this rock melon if you found it floating in the middle of the bay with a few Mediterranean with a few dings on it? Would you eat this rock melon?
Why not?
Let us know what you think. It's a pumpkin, but anyway, we've skinned it. We're going to have a look and see what it's like. Oh, that's good.
It's not rotten.
No,
It's,
it's quite fresh
oh,
because you can tell by the dings. It's worth going after.
David putting salt on it.
I had to
This
make
is-
it taste like it's from the sea, you know?
Not enough salt in there.
No.
All right, guys. So what are we celebrating here?
Passage wine.
And our last passage together.
Our last passage. Well, how about that?
And what a passage it was.
Got some
We
nice
arrived
food.
as expected.
Exactly what we.
6 p.m. Wind started off very soft, but kicked in a little bit later than it should have done, but it kicked in, so we got here.
Excellent.
And an excellent time of the day.
It's
Wine
cool.
o'clock.
Wine o'clock. Hi, folks. Well, this is the time that we let you know that after 2 months aboard Expedition Barefoot, it's time for Natasha and David to leave.
That's right. So Natasha had singing gigs lined up for her in the US, and her band was desperate to get her
Waiting
back.
for her to come back.
And David had elderly relatives in the UK that he was needing to go and see. So this all worked in pretty well, because at the same time, not only were Nat and David leaving us, but we had a new guest on board.
Who was my sister Nellie. Very excited for Nellie to come and join us. Nellie isn't really keen to be photographed or videoed, so we respect that, but you will occasionally see her head bopping up here and there. But we are very excited about Nellie joining us. So we don't know how long for, but we're picking her up in Formia, and she's done a little tiny bit of sailing, but she's been around boats and the water and all sorts of things.
Yeah,
so I think she's
more motorboat stuff than
Yeah.
sailing boat stuff, but
Yeah.
hey, you can all learn.
Yeah, I think she's going to take to it like a duck to water. But it's not an easy gig, and it's not for everyone, and it's certainly not for the faint-hearted, although it might look really cruisy, sitting on the back of the boat and having nibblies and wine and all that sort of thing.
Blue water, crystal clear, calm anchorages is what you see in all the videos, or most of the videos, but waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning when the anchor's dragging, or there's a storm, or there's a lightning, whatever, you don't really get a sense of how tough that sort of stuff is. And Nat and David certainly experienced that. Bad weather, there was lightning storms, there was early morning starts, and there was anchors dragging.
Well, the other challenges are just everyday challenges that you may not be used to, being away from the creature comforts of home, for instance. And
Limited water, limited power.
yeah, even having to get up early, you know, that can be a bit of a challenge for some people. Times when the storms are happening, or the anchor's dragging, or there's stuff going down, you don't have time to grab the camera, and it's the last thing you think of. It's the first thing you think of is survival. So yeah, I mean, we had a lot of fun with Nat and David. We had a lot of laughs. We had some good times, and we hope that they take with them all the valuable lessons that they learnt on board here. And they're not only sailing lessons, they're life lessons. David in particular has corresponded with us, and he's told us that, you know, he reflects on his sailing lessons and the journey and everything quite a lot. And
he's keen to get a boat for himself in the future too, so he definitely will continue the sailing experiences going forward. But I don't think Nat will. Nat wasn't taking to it so comfortably. But that's why you need to get out on a boat. If you're thinking about sailing, don't just buy a boat and do it. do some sailing on other people's boats so you can get that experience, because some people like it and some people don't. And to be honest, it's going to be the ladies who are more likely to say they don't like it, and that's why as a partnership you both need to go out there and experience the sailing. Oh, there you go. Emergencies on board.
Okay, so we were saying that we wish David and Natasha all the very best in the future. We know that whatever they do, whatever, you know, happens in their life, that I'm sure they will take the learnings and the skills that came to them from being 2 months on Expedition Barefoot.
And you know, like the thing that I really always and I'm impressed by with sailing is that you learn to appreciate the simple things in life. So I'm hoping that everybody that goes sailing then appreciates the simple things in life a lot better.
And it also makes you feel, it makes you very humble, because you realize that you're not, the world doesn't revolve around you, that you're only a tiny little speck, and the world and Mother
power.
Nature and everything is far greater than you.
And it doesn't matter how long you've been sailing for, you always know you're only a very little bit in a very big other thing. So.
Yeah, so that's a really good lesson that I think is really valuable. And if they only take one lesson away, well, that is a great lesson to take away. But I know
But
they've
he got
taken
many
much
more.
more
Yeah,
than
that's
that.
right. Anyway, all the best for Nat and David going forward, and we welcome our new guest, Nellie. Now, the other thing we want to talk about just briefly is we need some feedback from all of you guys out there. We need you to tell us what you want more of. Is the balance between like captain's tips and traveling and sailing and destinations all good? Do you want there to be more detail about how-tos? Do you want more detail about the sailing and the actual practicalities of how we pull up sails? Do you want more details about the everyday stuff that we do inside that we take completely for granted? So what do you guys want to see? If you guys can make comments down below and just tell us what you want more of, or what sort of balance you like to have.
Because what we think is interesting, you might think is really ho-hum, and you're not interested in that. So let us know so we can make it an exciting experience for you watching our YouTubes going forward.
Yeah, and I suppose just to let you all know the ongoing saga with the fire of the Leopard 50, that is still in the hands of the lawyers. There is dispute over the payment of the insurance. We have not been paid a dime up until this point, and it's over.
No dispute about us being at fault. It's more bureaucracy disputes.
Yeah, who's paying the bill is really and it's in the hands of lawyers. So we are leaving it to the lawyers, and because it's a legal process, we can't.
They've asked us not to comment.
We shouldn't disclose it or go public to potentially influence that process.
We still wake up every day with the feeling of excitement for wonderful things are going to happen, and they are. Wonderful things happen every single day.
Yeah, and we also consciously made the decision some time ago. We were not going to stop living because of decisions that are out of our hands. So that's why we have taken the steps to get this Leopard 45, to keep on sailing, to do the things that we love, because no matter what other people do to us, we want to keep doing the things that we want to do. We don't want to be victims of other people's decisions or processes. So that is kind of an important principle that we followed.
So while there was a will, I want to be in it. No, while there was a will, there's a way, isn't there? You know, usually if you look hard enough, you'll find a way to get back on track, even if it's not in the same way that you ideally would like. You just have to get things in perspective and get back on track in any way you can. I'd like to just say thanks for watching, thanks for everyone's support. We've got some really exciting times coming up, so there's lots of things to be excited about, and I hope that every day everyone wakes up and finds something to be excited about.
All the best, guys. Bye.
Bye from us. So thanks for watching, guys. We hope you've liked this video, and if you really have and you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe and then like and then tick the notification button so that you get notified when there's a new video out. So thanks very much, and we'd love to see you next time.
It's been a long time since you've been around.
I'm not much of a. Wait, let's see. Want to know if we should tighten that halyard because it's kind of loose and it's been swinging in the wind and kind of whipping around and hitting the Genoa. I wonder if it's gonna have wear.
He's doing a double decker.
Oh god.
No, it's just a pikelet sandwich.
I think we should film him.
That way it doesn't get everywhere. He says
We'll
right
see.
before it gets everywhere.
Oh.
See? Success never tasted so good.
Have a close up.
Success never tasted so good. Really, really good.
Caught in action. Come on, David, the pikelets are getting cold.
Tea is an art, you can't rush it.